Greetings to all participants of this exciting session. I'm really excited to see so much interest in the insurance industry and what's happening with respect to AI and analytics there. AI and analytics they have a great potential to transform any industry for that matter. And the insurance industry is no different. Adoption of AI in insurance firms can help meet not only strategic objectives like enhancing customer experience or delivering personalized products and services. Additionally, it can even help in operational efficiencies and reducing costs through automation and smart decisioning through usage of data driven insights in various business processes and other decisions. AI led transformation of the insurance sector can also enable firms to keep pace with the changing regulations and counter competitions from new entrants, especially the new age insurtech companies. To ensure a seamless transition, the traditional insurance industry has focused on a three pronged approach with AI and analytics at the helm. First is on the product side, moving from the traditional one size fits all products in insurance that we are so accustomed to see. Things are moving toward more granular and segmented products with hyper personalization and flexibility through Lego style products. Insurance has always been under a little bit of a wrath of its customer so far as services are concerned. Enhancing availability to customer has been enabled through AI interventions like chatbot, assistants, and personalization of services through enhanced usage of data to embed knowledge of customers and their needs at every interaction point. Finally, to stay profitable and through the business cycles of ups and downs and the catastrophe losses, etc., cost of operations has been a key aspect to maintain or manage within the insurance industry. To maintain solvency with minimum cost of operations and improving efficiency through AI led transformation and analytics, decision driven systems across various processes within the organization has been a key focus so far as AI and analytics intervention is concerned. However, as an industry, insurance is still dominated by the traditional players across the globe and perhaps yet to move from an experimentation around select use cases to scaling AI and analytics across the organization. Reasons are multifarious, including the lack of clear strategy for AI, an inflexible and investment starved technology core. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of sunk cost in legacy technologies, fragmented data assets, and outmoded operating models that hamper collaboration between the business and technology teams. On the other hand, there are new age insurtech firms and more recent technology led insurers who are yet to scale to be profitable and sustainable. To make things difficult, there are world of economic turbulence and turmoil, climate concerns, fast changing demographics and lifestyles. How does the future look like for this industry, which is moving faster than ever in its AI adoption? We'll try to find out from this eminent panel in our conversation today. So let's start with a quick round of introduction from our panelists. Let's start with Danish.
Thank you, Shubho, for that insightful context. It brings all together the current perspective of the insurance industry. Hello, everyone, and thanks to 3AI for organizing this specialized forum uh, on AI and analytics related to the insurance field. So I'm Danish. I work with Tata AIA Life Insurance as head of advanced analytics and artificial intelligence. I'm a chartered professional, a fellow in life and general insurance. I hold around 15 years of experience in the field of corporate strategy, transformation, research, and analytics. And it's been around 4 years now that I have been in the field of advanced analytics and data science. It's such a pleasure and privilege to be a part of this elite panel. I look forward to the enriching discussions going forward in the session. And I hope that once we conclude the session, the audience could gain broader perspectives from the interactions. So thank you for having me here and look forward.
Thanks, Danish. Pritam, would you go next?
Yeah, thanks, Shubho. Hi all, I am Pritam Banerjee. I am currently working with Chubb as part of the Advanced Analytics group. I lead the co-lead the AI Center of Excellence primarily with respect to claims Center of Excellence and unstructured Center of Excellence. And we are in a process where we are seeing a lot of AI interventions across different various life cycle of within insurance. So I'm looking forward to discussing that. I'm looking forward to an enriching discussion.
Thank you, Pritam. Dhiraj?
Hi, everybody. I think again, thanks AI for bringing this excellent panel together, and thanks Shubho for organizing and binding us together. So, so I take care of the analytics and data, and along with the on the sales side, the cross sell head for Bajaj Bajaj General Insurance Company. So that encompasses all from starting from the data engineering side to data science to actually data governance on then on the sales side also on driving cross sales so for the company. So I think masters did my masters long back, probably working for more than 2 decades now. Did my masters from ISI, Indian Statistical Institute, and let's see. I think looking to learn something, and I think hopefully there will be some good value that all of you will be taking together. But I think as Shubho was talking about, I think there is a huge a huge transformation that is already happening in the industry, and I think we'll try to decode as much as possible. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And for the audience, I would say that, we really have a rich panel, and I will explain. It is not just their introduction, but there are some facets which I want to highlight. First of all, insurance, when we talk about, typically it is looked at two broad classification and more popular thanks to traditional companies like LIC in India and tax saving. So we understand when you say insurance, it's life insurance. So we have that part as well in the in the panelists. So we have life insurance. We have Dhiraj representing the property casualty. When I look at Pritam, I see that, again, bring out another aspect of it, insurance, uh, a focus in a particular area where he talked about claims. And if you look at the property casualty industry or general insurance industry, as it is called in India, some years back there was a study which clearly showed, and there is no surprise there, that 75% of the customers in insurance are lost, especially in the general insurance, are lost due to bad experience with claims. So there's no surprise that when we talk of AI and analytics, there is significant intervention which are happening on the claims area, and Pritham is focusing on that. So we'll get that perspective as well. The other piece which I want to highlight here in the mix of panelists is that we have both the representation from the Indian insurance industry, which has really is at a very you know I'd say in a very accelerated mode of transformation since few years back when it got deregularized from completely government-owned insurance organization, and a lot of private players, especially global insurance, came and opened shop here. And both Danish and Diraj come from that breed. AIA is an international organization, collaborated with Tata. Allianz is again a big name in the insurance industry, global insurance industry, collaborated with Bajaj here. So they have been really driving a lot of changes as the insurance industry opened up. We'll get that perspective. Both Pritam and I come from two organizations which are again leaders in I would say, the biggest market of insurance, uh, the US market, the Chubb, and I come from Allstate. So I think we will get a good perspective of really what is happening in the industry. Now, since each one of you have, come from some of the best names in the insurance industry, and as I explained the different aspects of it, so let me go around the table and say that what has been your observations about this industry adopting AI into the core of the business? And I will again highlight in that the core of the business, because we are not talking of fancy experiments, but today AI or and analytics is one of the significant technology which is transforming the industry, where data was always at the core, but not in a way which can really make it call to be known as the new age or cutting edge. So today it is changing, and let's talk here about some of the solutions that are in production. We'll talk about the possibilities later, but I want to hear from you. What have you seen getting implemented, and how are you seeing as the results of those implementation? So, Danish, would you like to go first?
Yeah, Shubho, thanks. So, Shubho, so let me give a context uh, coming from the life insurance industry. What I feel that while the pursuit of going digital has been an imperative with the insurance companies, it is only off late that we see an emerging shift towards AI and ML. And I'm being very frank out there. Uh, this shift from insight to foresight driven decisions has been enabled largely by the recent disruptions that we have seen across technology and data landscape, and the accessibility that the companies can have versus what they used to have a couple of years back. So MIS and rule based decision making is now taking a leap towards machine learning based predictive and cognitive phase. So the transition as we speak is happening. Contextually, the adoption of AI and ML in life insurance, I would like to you know make out is different from the general insurance or the property and casualty space, given the variety and complexity of the businesses. So they are two different business. While it looks like insurance altogether, uh, maybe the general insurance companies has a head start when it comes to AI ML, but life insurers, it's still in an early phase or an intermediate phase in my view. So when it comes to applied AI and ML in life insurance, while I see that there are few pioneers or early adopters, and here I would like to highlight that around 70 to 75% of the private business is concentrated in the top 4 or top 5 players. So these are the players who would be typically the pioneers or early adopters. But what remains the fact that the industry at large needs to join in this AI and ML data driven vegan, and this would mean so much sense. It would bring a lot of enhanced productivity, process efficiencies, cost efficiencies, as well as better distributor and customer experiences, and which forms the core of any business. So what is very important is that to understand that while these units or these companies have established business intelligence units, but the setup of AI and ML infrastructure and capabilities are in varying stages to harness the predictive power of data. So
So
as
let me ask
regards,
you, stop you here for a moment and ask you a very, pointed question here, because you are from the life insurance industry, and as you said, the complexity of the products and the practices between the two industries, the life insurance and the general insurance industries, are pretty different, and that is also driven mostly by the nature of the product themselves. Because as I always say that you buy an auto insurance or motor insurance, as we call in India, you can have 20 different accidents during the year, but life, you'd only have typically one claim so far as the death claim is concerned. Of course, you would have, if you have riders related to medical side as well or the healthcare side, you can have multiple claims, but typically death claim will be one. Now that very nature of the product or the concept itself brings us to a very interesting aspect of AI analytics. As we all know, AI analytics is as good as the data you get, and more the data, more power in your hand, right? The transactions and interactions. So from that perspective, obviously there are limited interactions in life insurance. If you are
yeah,
paying the premium, if I'm paying the premium regularly every year during my renewal, I don't have to see the life insurance company ever. Honestly speaking, it will be my wife who has to see if I pass away. So I don't even get to see after I take the policy. Whereas in case of the car I'm driving and it is insured with Allianz or Tata AIG for matter from the Tata world, then there may be accidents, and I would have a claims experience. There would be renewals, and all those kind of things would be happen. Now, from that perspective, in life insurance, how do you see, and which area of or which functions do you see AI and analytics can make a bigger impact, considering those limited interactions and therefore limited data to the customer?
Yeah, rightly said so, Shubho. There is very limited, scope for engagements with the consumer, and that's why it's a kind of a linear, value chain that we see in life insurance. So, as regards the use cases of the solutions that I can see in work across the players, they do cover the basic functions that the insurer must make sure that the right quality of life is sourced, and we avoid any kind of fraudulent sources of business. So obviously the number one core is underwriting, and I think a lot of developments on AI/ML is happening on that front. Having said that, there are other
So you are
areas
talking
of
about,
renewal.
essentially, when you say underwriting, it is the quality of customers in terms of health and ability to pay and those kind of things you are assessing. So you're improving the quality of your customers and as well as the risk you are assuming. So I would say I'm
Right,
just
right,
trying
and
to summarize so that we can move. It will be
yeah,
helpful for the audience who are not from the insurance industry.
right,
Okay,
and it
that
would
is one.
also mean the intent of the buyer, because it could be a fraudulent intent, uh, and we have seen such cases that certain pockets in the country behave like that. So it could also mean that, just to supplement. So that is on the underwriting. There are other areas which are relevant here, which is renewal premium. Once you get the new business, it becomes very, very imperative that you get that subsequent premiums coming in over the years, and
Okay.
it is important that you find those consumers who are uh, willing to pay and will be paying, and separated them from the people who are not, who do not have the propensity to pay. And likewise, you have those focused action drivens against the cohort which is not so likely to pay their premium, and you can optimize on your cost and effort.
So as I understand that it is about the customer retention. We talked about the assumption of risk, which is at the beginning of the insurance, and then of course the retention of customer. But I think from a life insurance, and for that matter, any insurance renewal is very important. And just for demystifying for the non-insurance audience here, it is also because the whole insurance works on certain calculations, actual calculations, which keeps in consideration the entire flow of money which is coming through renewal. So if that goes for a toss, I think the whole foundation of the whole risk assumption and the pricing will be impacted. So with that, let me move over to Pritam, because we talked about the impact of AI analytics in the assessment of risk and retention of customer, but the acid test comes on the claims side. So, Pritam, especially from the global perspective, what are you seeing in terms of interventions which are coming in the claims area of insurance?
Right, right. So from the claim side, you cannot have a fully AI solution. There has to be an element of empathy when it comes to the claim
Excellent.
adjusters. So that is where we are seeing you cannot directly have a fully AI-driven solution. But what you can do is sort of aid or guide the claim adjuster. So AI, and so having the human in the loop, as well as building that AI solution which can support and do faster claims processing. So it directly affects two things. One is the customer experience, because if a customer has a bad taste on their mouth, they will not renew, and it will affect the renewal, the NPS or the net promoter score of the customer. On the other hand, it directly impacts the bottom line of a company, because the moment if you have a lot of claims, you have risk selection. There are financial trickle down effects on the income statement. So what we are seeing AI, two areas that largely affect the claims organization is, one is fraud. So fraud detection, identifying fraudulent claims, and across the globe, it accounts for about 10% of the total claims amount, or roughly even more than that in certain areas. is fraudulent, which means that companies will lose billions of dollars just on claims which they shouldn't be paying. So that is one aspect where we are seeing a lot of AI-driven interventions coming in, be it from a traditional modeling, a non-traditional modeling, image analytics, text analytics, graph networks is where we are seeing this kind of happening. The other area where there is a lot of entrenchment of AI is in the recovery or subrogation aspect. So subrogation is where you recover part of the claim or you salvage part of the claim. So identifying what is subrogable, what is not subrogable. That is again an area where AI is used in a significant way. The third point I will bring up is now we are also getting into a newer kind of AI, or I shouldn't say AI driven, but it's more data driven products. Things like telematics or things like wearables, where you keep generating data, or IoT. The claim life cycle is also changing because the product is pretty innovative and pretty new, and you have data coming in. So again, from that perspective, there is where we are seeing end-to-end AI-driven interventions from risk selection to claims management, and reducing that time to settle a claim or identifying fraud or impacting bottom line. So these are the areas where we are seeing AI getting heavily entrenched into the insurance space.
Very, very well said, Pritam. I really like that empathy part because personally, I think that has always been highlighted for insurance is that, and that's why perhaps I see some of their life insurance companies also want in their advertisements, especially the life insurance industry, which talks about their claim settlement ratio uh, when they speak to the customer, putting it up on the ad that we have so much of 96% claim settlement ratio and all. That means your claim, your money or your trust on us is well founded. So we'll settle the claim. And then that is, and in the property casualty or general insurance, I have had, if I have had an accident on the road, I'm really in a bad mood and in a bad situation because my car is struck, my vehicle is damaged, I am maybe inconvenienced on 10 different ways. So that empathy, and so we are talking about here three things as I understood, or rather two aspects of AI. One is more customer focused, aiding the customer interface with empathetic decision tools which can make that interaction with the customer more elevated and more pleasant, or which reduces the suffering element of it and makes it things faster. That is one. Second thing you talked about, the operational efficiency that I would talk about is that the reduction of cost, be it the subrogation recovery or even reducing the fraud, right? Which will so the money outgo is limited. So we talk about that. I think that's fantastic because AI is not only helping in the customer side but also in managing the operational efficiencies as I would have expected that. Let me move over to Dhiraj because I expect a different perspective here because uh, he comes from an organization which has been a pioneer in some of the experiments they have done in the market that I have been following, and some really great work from the general insurance side. Because general insurance market, especially if you are in the motor insurance business in India, you would know that has always been the largest portfolio for any general insurance company. At the same time, it has been fraught with losses as well because of the high cost of repairs, as well as frauds and other things, which is so rampant in India. Now, I would leave the examples to Dhiraj completely, but I would also like to understand that as companies like Allianz came in, how did they how did they influence by bringing in these newer technologies and experimentation and tools, and then some of the success stories they have had. I would like to hear something about that from the Indian market, which is very dynamic. I would say very different from a US market.
Yeah, thank you, Shubho, I think, for the kind introduction. And I was just thinking through, like, regarding your first questions, but I'm finding it very difficult to figure out a use case where we are not using AI. So now again, this is like people, different companies are at a different stage in this
Yes.
whole journey. But I think for the benefit of the audience, general insurance is like, it's a very thin margin business, and it's like and I think, and it's very much like every year you have to renew the policies, most of the policies, and so what we need to do is like we need to be very smart in doing those decisions. And so a lot of the work is lot of the I think the product is commoditized. So like for example, like as I was talking about, like you will go there, there is a more of a price competition and all those things. Now coming back to, I think why I say, like I think we'll take little bit back, like why insurance, we have been, I think, talking about like it was a slow starter, because see, it's a still it's a push product primarily. So like you have to convince people. So that does, like that needs some kind of, I still believe like insurance needs more conversation. I think life will require much more conversation than probably some of the general products. Few general products also needs the conversation. So that brings huge distribution. So I think in I think while we are talking about a lot of the direct to customer sales and others, still it's in is not even 3-4% of, I think in most of the cases, and wherever they are doing direct to customer sales is not profitable. So I think somehow, I think there is an art we have been able to crack it, and I think in last 22 years, we have one of the only company we have been making underwriting profit. Just so which is like, I think for audience, underwriting profit is like from your operations you are making profit, not like, because when you collect the claims we also invest in the market. So that's why you get the investment income. So that's one, definitely that's how most of the insurance companies run. But I think to make it operationally, if you want to just take out that investment part and you want to make a profit out of the in on the or like make some money, so that you can decide to reinvest on your customers, give them better products, give them more thing. You may not decide to keep it also. So but at least making that margin, it's an art kind of thing. So like, and I think general insurance, I would suggest, like given this stress, like with about huge distribution, as well as you need to be very smart in, and the nature of the product is every year you need to renew. Excuse me. And also, like the ticket size is much more lower compared to other products. So all this needs the companies to adopt the technology much more faster. And I think there were a lot of awareness and all those things that happen. Now more specific to the use case, why I'm talking about, and let's take the motor accident. Like nowadays, I think we are one of the first one to launch, which is like through your mobile app, you click a photograph,
Yeah,
and you will get an immediate claim settlement within 1 or 2 minutes. So it will detect the damage, it will detect everything. Your It's an asset. Your car is an asset. We are going to assess the damages for the from our app. And there is also your customer profile is there. I think in terms of claims and customer experience, I think when our fellow colleagues are talking about empathy, a lot of the empathy we are also giving through AI. Where to put it, where I should give an STP, like straight pass through, like I don't need to ask anything. I know I have my customers. And I think what Shu was talking about, the customer loyalty and others, like those things have changed. Like now it's again it's much almost twice the numbers. It's no longer like only 30% getting retained, at least for the few companies. Because, and you will see a very beautiful thing, like many companies, like I think I can tell at least ours, like we are not in media doing marketing, because we believe like our strength is claim settlement. We want to give customers the claim. And I think to that is like all genuine claims are played. That also means is like I need to take out all non-genuine claims. Now that brings all the whole fraud analytics, which involves not only about this is like actual hard frauds, or the fraudsters, but also a lot of loss mitigations. And then you will see like just compare with the banking and other worlds, where you probably see a very good correlation with the credit score in terms of your claims. It's a very different, weird way of looking here, because the behavioral science plays in. So I think if you ask me, this is what where actually general insurance is like. General insurance is lying between, it's playing around using AI as well as behavioral science to tackle the matter. That's why they're
absolutely.
tackling the empathy part as well. So as they're saying, like the on that, let's say those are like that is on the claim side. You are doing a damage detection. Similarly, on the underwriting side as well, like we have to select what kind of customers, so that to ensure like we maintain certain SCS or the claim size or overall claims ratio. So it's a business planning. That's where whole analytics comes in. We from the, let's take like for our whole country, like I think we are one of the largest insurance for the Pradhan Mantri Bima Fasal Yojana. It's like I think out of there are different counts, but some say 14 crores, some say 9 crore farmers we have, but almost 2.5 crores are already under the scheme. So like now those are some of the cases is like we are going there, like it's not possible for us for to do the crop damage assessment. So they have a crop insurance which says like if you have flood, if you are not meeting certain productivity norms, you will be provided the claims or the support by the government, and we are working with the government. So that's where we are using a lot of satellite data. We are using drone based on that unstructured data, and to settle the claim within minutes. Given a live example, when we had a Mumbai flood, or even like Jammu Kashmir flood, while there was a flood, we are issuing the checks, or like we are paying direct to their accounts. And those things were definitely, I think we work with different I would say like the sources like who can provide our geo data, as well as like more specific to that area in the data, as well as we have the different profiles. Again, moving to, like, I think we were one of the first one to use the blockchain in 2017 probably. I think one other thing is, like, as a company, we want to try and test before going to the market. So if you have I think this is like the customer experience part. Almost everywhere we are talking about customer experience part. The reason being, as a company, our CEO is the chief customer officer. Is like he just wants to ensure, like, okay, genuine claims, we should get claim. We don't earn by cutting the claims. We want to pay claims. We are in that business, and I think like. So if you have, like, that's one of the reason, like, we have one of the highest NPS, but it is not by chance. It is by design, how we are paying it, how we are segregating different types of claims.
So again, what
And
I'm hearing, Dhiraj, from you is that you are trying to bring in AI intervention not only from the ease of doing, or rather customer service aspect, because customer is at the core, as I'm hearing from
Right.
you. At the same time, you are again focusing on your operational efficiencies through the fraud detection and improvement in operational cost as well. But some of the things that you mentioned, which are very, I would say, cutting edge, because, for example, blockchain and blockchain with the AI aspect of it, or the analytics aspect of it together, can really do wonders. But to be honest, it is not in a situation where it is getting scaled within the
Mhm.
industry. Still, some experimentation is going on. If we
Mhm.
shift gears a bit towards the future, where do you see, all of you? I'm going to come back to each of you again. Is that where the industry is heading? Because quite a few AI interventions have happened. They are in production across the insurance, what I would say, the value chain, starting from the marketing and sales to the claims aspect. Across the value chain, there has been intervention. There has been a lot of success stories. But at the same time, we are, all of us here are part of insurance organizations which have long history. In that sense, they have been the traditional insurers. There is a new breed of insurance companies which are coming up, which have typically started as a startup, or and in that bandwagon called insurtech. So where do you think the industry is going with such AI at core philosophy? Or is there, do you see a convergence happening with the traditional and the new age thing? Are they competitors? Are they collaborators? Or they are going to feed into each other? Where do you see that synergy coming from? Other question I want to just put on the table right here, if in case it helps you answer together. What do you anticipate as a change in the traditional insurance industry roles? For example, underwriter, claims adjuster, an actuary, or any other things, because those are internal to that. Is it shaping the insurance industry from inside, or is it more towards responding to the customer, and therefore the change is happening? So let me put from a forward looking statement these two questions, and again, let me start with Danish to get some perspective from the life insurance industry. Danish, you're on mute, I guess.
Sure, Subho. So as I mentioned that, for the life insurance industry, AI ML is catching up with the traditional insurers, and definitely whosoever leads or optimizes will have a competitive edge here. Uh, uh, so we can say that the foundation levels are yet to be set for most of the insurers who are towards the later 25% of the uh, market pie.
Hmm.
But for the intermediate and the advanced levels, these players who are in the top league are making major strides in terms of the AI ML adoption. Now, what does it mean and how does it go forward from here is uh, are two, three facets that I see here. Number one is the coherence. The coherence becomes very important in terms of the data at the center stage, while technology is enabling that framework, and the business or the functions are collaborators. So a very cohesive or a coherent framework needs to be thought through
Hmm.
when it comes to the future of AI ML adoption. Now it also means that we need to focus on the quality and the variety of data that we see in our organizations on a day-to-day basis, and structure those data uh, to make optimum use in our AI ML applications. So that is one piece which I see in terms of the coherence. Another big piece which I see will shape up the future is uh, culture and capability building. And we all know that culture it's a strategy for a breakfast. That's what is very important, that you bring in AI and ML as a part of the mainstream agenda and part of the conversations. Not only on experiments, but as a core topic that or a core function uh, has to be established around AI ML. So which means you involve the business, you involve the functions, and understand their problems and their requirements, so that you can come up with relevant solutions. On the capabilities, Shubho, I think that what is more important is that you start developing those various skill sets, starting from analysts to data engineers, data scientists, ML ops engineers, and not to mention the technologists, because those would be the people who would bring these into life. And what we typically see, a lot of APIization is happening. So all of this has to be set in place on the culture aspect. And the question on whether the underwriters and the actuarial would be impacted through it, which are the who are very specialized talent set in the insurance industry. I would say that AI and ML would be an aid to them. They can focus more on their value add contribution, and it's also an opportunity for them to develop themselves in these areas, so that they can make the best of both the worlds. So
No, I think
I
that's a
feel
good point you make, because on the AI and analytics has the power to process large set of data, which typically actuaries depended on the mortality and morbidity tables, especially in the life insurance side, and that has been more of an aggregated data. And now they would have the power to use more real-time large set of data and process and get insights from them, and thereby maybe helping them to have more, I would say, rather sharp risk assessment, and as well as estimations and risk modeling, etc., pricing, etc. So Pritam, on Chubb is a global insurer, and obviously from your past experience as well, do you see from a new entrants to the insurance industry which are more dependent, or they are having technology first or AI first kind of a model, to the new companies, insurtechs, which are focusing on maybe a particular claim solution or an underwriting solution? They're very niche focused area. Do you see an act of collaboration happening in future, or learn from them, replicate in the larger organization, or is it going to be a kind of buy their services, add to the current repertoire of services that a larger traditional insurer would have? What would be your views?
Right. So Last year, right, in 2021, 2022 has been a lot of deals. If you look at the mergers and acquisitions on an insured tech side, you will see a lot of deals happening, and that is ticking up. So there are new Series A, Series B, or Series C funding. There are new acquisitions which is happening. So I do see definitely there is a chance of a collaboration, and that collaboration can happen in multiple ways, right? It can be through mergers or acquisitions. It can be through buying a product and services. I think what the global insurers are doing is they're taking sort of a two or three pronged approach. One is if you want to go, if your time to market is less, if you want to go faster, you will probably take a M&A kind of an approach. If you at the same time, you do not just rely on M&A, right? You will also
Mhm.
change your internal processes and make it more in line with that. And then the third part is the collaboration where you kind of reach out to different insurtechs and become their customers or collaborate with them to jointly come up with a solution. And this is not just happening within the traditional insurance. We are also seeing even tech firms like Amazon and Google, they're also jumping into the insurance space by because they have the wealth of the data and they're also getting into that. So I do see that collaboration, that convergence happening. What will also happen is there will be a new set of products because the customers tomorrow they need more personalized experience, right? So we are generating more data than ever. So that will also lead to newer product lines which will have an AI at its core. Something like an embedded insurance or something like a UBI will be part of that is where the convergence will be even more between the insurtechs and the traditional carriers.
Dhiraj, you have been, part of an organization again, as I said that earlier also, which has, and then you yourself mentioned that I don't see any area of insurance that we don't have a use case. Now, how much of that journey has been internal completely, and where have you been collaborating with external niche players in from the insurtech or any particular solution that may have been developed from for any other industry, but you found a good use case in insurance and therefore tested and tried that. So, any stories from your kitty
Yeah,
around that?
sure. So I think without probably giving out the confidentiality point of view, but essentially like so I think uh, I think the way we work is like when things are not going wrong right for us, if be it in terms of market and this one. So probably we realize that's a better opportunity for us.
Mm.
And I think to your earlier point, I so it honestly depends on the organization strategy whether they want to build it, and I think it's also depending on like the how the CEO and the AI head perceives this, which is strategically important to build versus I think where you want to. It's a typically build versus buy kind of thing. But at the same time, what is very important for us as is kind of related to your point where it is happening is we want customer is at the heart of everything, so we don't want to compromise on that, and based on that all the decisions are taken. For example, like now we all are working, we all have internal teams, and I think across the industry the working, let's say very simple use case of the fraud. Now there could be the way it is the way it is like, okay, now developing a solution model, this thing, it is a commoditized part. You can do, anybody can do it. If you have people, you can do it, right? But suppose there is an insurtech who has been working on aggregating certain kind of data, which is an additional data source. Maybe there is a way to collaborate with them and build this ecosystem. So I think to your answer your question, I think it's we are going to jointly build this ecosystem, and I don't think it's like one versus other kind of thing. Having said that, so I think the way it is, still the use cases are on a narrow AI, what we call it. It's not an enterprise wide use case.
Absolutely.
I don't see that happening. So on the narrow AI side, it is very much commoditized. Now, as I'm saying, like there could be like few companies may decide in terms of like, okay, I'll just build it or go with a invest in some companies, go with a like kind of like grow it together and make some product. We have certain product we have launched, and I think some of the companies also since the day one we have been part of, and we constantly we as a part of it, like almost every quarter we evaluate different. So there's a competition for different startups to get into so that they can present to the Bajaj CXOs. And so that's how we evaluate, and we use a lot of those cases. But when we think there is a scalability, I think this is very important. We try to internalize it. because and I think that's what I think tried, and I think huge experiments we are running. But I think as saying like scalability, something niche which is not in my forte, or it will take little bit more time for me to invest. It's not a very priority area. Those are the part we get into things. Just to give an example, like I think you specifically asked, like uh, as for an insurance company, developing a chatbot was not a strategic move,
Yeah,
and now probably people working on chatbots were okay doing it. But so definitely we went with a partnership there, we developed it. But the way how we internalize it, which is very different, and I think the way the budget, how Bajaj manages our customers, and I think with customer at the heart of, get the get the more of an emotional part to it, the customer experience part to it, we got a very exclusivity on that. And I think so, so that's how it's a just as an example. But I think many of the other things, because other heart of it, although we are using technology, we are not a tech firm, so we are very
absolutely.
clear on that. So it's like we are there to take care of the people and the hours of their need. Now whatever it takes us to do it, to make it to the, so not always. I'll take other example, like, and I think this is like often we talk about real time. But I think if you look into the processes, there are like huge benefit where even delaying it by 5 minutes or even 2 minutes in the batch process is going to save you a lot. It's a very fine
Absolutely.
decision. So I think so. What is important is like this: all these small decisions gets evaluated in terms of a long run PNL, and I think that's how we decide where to do. But essentially, as I was saying, like it's a scalable thing. If not now, there should be a plan to develop it further.
No,
And
thank you for that insight. That is a very thin margin business. It's not like the banking spread that where when you borrow money, it's very high rate of interest, but your savings bank earns, I mean, savings bank account earns just about 5%, 4.5%, right? So it's not a that kind of a business. And then there are losses and other things and other complexities, business cycles. So, as many of the audience would understand if they are aware of the insurance industry, that most of the general insurance industry, especially general insurance companies, they earn their profit mostly from their investment incomes. Most of the time, they are running in underwriting losses in their portfolio of businesses, be it motor or be it commercial lines and other places. So it is a challenge for the general insurance industry to earn an underwriting profit every year. Since we talked about, and I heard some of the panelists talk about using AI to for the risk assessment and trying to see which customer will pay the premium year after year in case of life insurance, or which customer will have less fraud and things like that, which initially sounds very reasonable, but at the same time it raises a big question, and which is I think a question asked across the board, across industries in the AI world. AI and ethics, AI and insurance is a highly regulated risk, and compliance is our bread and butter in that sense. Uh, where do you see we are going with the AI intervention so far as being ethical, being unbiased, and all? Because if you are using AI to choose the best customer, are you not bringing in selection bias? I'm just taking one example there. And somebody who is perhaps a poor driver does not get insurance, and therefore they have to go for some other kind of insurance company, as we call in the US as non-standard insurance company. So where is the thin line, and how do we ensure that we are using AI more, consciously and with conscience? That is one. And other aspect which I heard from a use case that Diraj talked about, giving the farmers insurance and all of that. So insurance also has a lot of social bearing, be it in the life side or general insurance side. Can AI help taking the reduction of bias or the ethical part, and also making a social impact? Are you seeing that happening today, or do you think that there are possibilities for future to have a better society because of the adoption of AI and analytics in insurance? Danish would like to go.
Yeah, sure, Subho. So, so I think, yeah, it while it could be a very intermediate kind of a phase that we are into, it becomes very very essential at this point in time that we at least talk on those lines and have those foundations created that we use and adopt responsible and ethical AI. Uh, on the specific context of, let's say, underwriting, and I'll talk about life insurance. You have two kind of underwriting that typically happens. One is the non-medical underwriting, and another is the medical underwriting. So non-medical underwriting, they are largely very straight through kind of cases, and you know I see a lot of applicability of AI and ML in those space, uh, because typically uh, they would be kind of rule driven or predictive machine learning driven. That should be that should create a lot of efficiency as well as better consumer experiences, especially for that cohort. Now coming to the other cohort, which is on medical underwriting, uh, I think it is very important for the insurers also to make sure that the underwriting is prudent, and
Mm.
a lot of sum assured of the coverage that is given on these kind of policies, largely into the term space, the protection space. When somebody is not there, the family is benefited. So the premium of these policies are typically very very low compared to the sum assured that is given. It's important that you carry out the due diligence, and it would also involve both the use of AI and ML, as well as the human cognitive uh, skills coming out here or expertise coming out here. So in a way, what I feel is that there would be a certain space where you can make larger use of AI and ML, while in other space you can make a blend of it. And obviously it has all to be driven in very clear, or in a very transparent manner. You need to explain, and there should be explainability of what you are doing. You should have all these documents and audit trails of the models that you are building, so that you can always put out to the relevant stakeholders and make your case stronger and more credible. And any deviations or any drifts that you see, you should highlight those elements and act upon that, so that over a period of time you drift towards becoming a more ethical and responsible AI organization. So
No,
that's my
definitely.
view.
And that black box view of AI has to change, and that is what is demanded by many businesses and even some of the regulatory bodies, all of that. Especially, Pritam, in the claim side, while you said that AI could be of a great help to the touch points, do you see any risk of application of AI in that juncture of a customer interaction when the customer is at its lowest point in emotionally, and that's why we talked about the empathy piece, right?
Yeah, yeah. So imagine a case where I tell a customer this is a fraudulent claim, but it's a genuine customer. So if my AI makes a mistake over there, and if it
Absolutely.
goes to a customer experience, that's a terrible thing to do. So I think we spoke about explainability, right? So explainability is a big aspect of the models that we have to build. So AI building an AI model is not a one-time done and dusted thing, right? So you'll have to kind of revisit, reevaluate, and bear in mind we are talking about very complex models here, and some of the biases can we might want to eliminate examples like gender or ethnicity as out of the models, but some of it can be used other variables can be used as a proxy, like for example how many male nurses or female truck drivers will you have. So that itself, the model can pick some of these things up. I think, and fairness in AI is also a big area of research today, and it goes to explainability as the first step of assessing it. So embedding explainability across the board is number one, should be there, and that helps in reducing some of these biases and making it fair. We are also seeing research happening in what is called a glass box models, right? Where it's kind of a mix of, it's not white box like simple models, or it's not as black box also. So glass box models are also coming into the vogue, and then they are also,
Yes.
we are seeing more adoption of those kind of models coming in. So I think it will be a mix of technology as well as doing thorough testing of the model, be it stress testing or be it on a claim side, be it running it through multiple checkpoints to see that it is not discriminating or it is fair to all the groups. These are the three areas where we can sort of build it out.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I hope the audience has enjoyed. And the most important takeaway for me, and I hope it is for the audience as well, that we not only touched upon the AI analytics, its adoption in insurance industry, but there are a lot of facets of the industry itself has come out. So first and foremost, I would say that we must have realized that it's a very tough business to be in because the margins are low. We have social responsibility, complex products, or traditionally the products have been complex, which is going to a lot of transformation in simplification. It is a business which is, as very nicely Dhiraj has put, it's a quantitative business. Everybody understands that, but now we are perhaps consciously adopting AI and analytics to drive some of the business results. But at the same time, it is also a very touchy business in that sense to where the emotions are concerned. Life insurance, you talk of life insurance, as the joke goes that, you need life insurance. What happens if you die? So the moment you say that to the customer, you are actually touching on a very soft chord there, that you're talking of my death, right? So it is not a very pleasant thing. On the general insurance side, we are only talking about when there is a loss, there is a fire, there is an accident, right? So it's not a great feeling because it's not something like you will be happy that your investment has grown many folds. As I personally call it, it's a regrettable necessity because the premium is gone, and unless something bad happens, you really not get a benefit out of that. In that scenario, what we heard today in the conversation is that AI is helping the insurance firms to become more empathetic towards the customer, keeping them engaged so that they continue to renew the policies, which help them in the whole running of the insurance as a business. The concept itself is a pool, as I was talking about. If somebody goes out of that pool, obviously the whole economics doesn't work out well, and therefore there is a chances of losses. Since we are taking money and making a promise to the end customer of being there for them during their plight, we need to make sure that we remain as solvent as companies, and therefore AI and analytics adoption also has to help in the operational efficiency. Then we talked about some of the fantastic use cases and examples that how people are using, be it fraud, be it in terms of the renewals and bringing the money in, or the subrogation and things like that. We talked about how, as an industry, we are aggressively moving uh, by adopting technologies which are available by developed by some startups, be it focused in the insurance side or some other industry. At the same time, we have to have an aggressive prioritization to fail fast and fail cheap, because as we said that we are a low margin in a business, we don't have a lot of money, and their ROI is of key importance because we have to make that impact, and we can't have 85% of our solutions fail when the customer benefit. And ultimately, whatever we are doing it with customers money, so we need to be cognizant of that as well. So overall, I think insurance is not only poised for the next level, but it is actually happening in various pockets and various parts of the organization. Adoption may be different across different companies. They may be having their own, they may be at their, different stages of their own individual journeys. But as an industry, I think it is really changing the way AI analytics is changing the way insurance was thought, sold, and bought. And again, it is, obviously it's a destination. It's not the destination; it's a journey, and we are going through it. So overall, I think we are on the right path. And every organization is bringing these interventions as a part of their core strategy. That's what we heard in the conversation. So I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation, and we look forward to having more such conversations in future. And all of you have a great evening. And thanks to 3AI once again for bringing us all together for these kind of conversations and insights. And hope this helped and it was enjoyable. All the best. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shubho.
Shubho.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I'm sure.